Are you not curious about the Islamic Revolution in Iran? If so, Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi is a must read. Marjane, who lived through this time period, uses her own experience to tell the story of how she grew up during this lawless time. As the graphic novel Persepolis begins, it's 1980 in Iran, and Marjane Satrapi isn't tracking out to Michael Jackson or watching Dallas. Instead, the old government led by the Shah of Iran has fallen in the Iranian Revolution, and a new government of hardcore Islamic fundamentalists has established what they call the Islamic Republic of Iran. Suddenly, Marjane is being forced to wear a veil at her school, which is now segregated between boys and girls. Marjane's parents go to protest and back revolutionaries like Uncle Anosh. Uncle Anosh had fled to the USSR because the Iranian government believed him to be a spy. Uncle Anosh teaches Marjane much about the world. Marjane grows up very close to Uncle Anosh, but he is eventually arrested by the government and becomes a political prisoner. Marjane's world is shattered when Uncle Anosh is executed and she renounces her faith in God. Because of her mother, father, grandmother, and Uncle Anosh, Marjane's passion lies in social activism. At a very young age, she wants to fix inequalities between social classes and make the world into a place where old people don't have to suffer. That's the kind of hard to do when there are bombs falling on Tehran and killing Marjane's friends and family members. Eventually, Marjane's parents decided that Iran is not the place for the headstrong, independent, outspoken daughter they have raised. Her behavior gets her expelled from school, and mom and dad are afraid that the worst punishment will befall her as the Iranian government gets stricter. They ship Marjane to Austria, where she ends up in boarding house in Vienna run by nuns. Over the few next years, she finds herself in a variety of living situations with her sexually liberated French friend, Julie, in an apartment with 8 homosexuals and renting a room from a horse-faced woman with a foul attitude, the landlady. Marjane misses her family. She gets depressed and becomes a homeless after a conflict with her landlord. Living on the street, she gets bronchitis, which makes her so sick she coughs up blood and ends up in a hospital. She survives, calls her parents, and moves back to their home in Iran. Although it's difficult to surrender her freedoms, Marjane needs to live with her family. They treat her as an equal, and her grandmother provides a necessary reality check. In Iran, she engages in social activism, marries and divorces an artist named Riza, all while attempting to balance her Persian heritage and decide to live in the West. But after a few years, Marjane realizes that Iran is not for her, and she returns to Europe. Sadly, she only gets to see her grandmother once more before her passing. Marjane reminds us that the freedom has a cost on the final page. The main lesson of this book is that it is believed that one cannot attain genuine freedom without education, although formal education system may not always be reliable. In my own learnings, personally, the Persepolis book is somehow related to what happened in Marawi City, wherein the Mauti group attacked Marawi City and they made their own government, and the education, government, and people become chaotic. On the other hand, in Iran, they forced the women to wear veil, but the Mauti group, they forced people to recite Quran. Just like the government of Iran, the Philippine army uses bomb to kill Mauti group members. For me, respecting religious diversity is vital for peaceful societies. All states must uphold the universal human right of religious freedom and hold those who restrict it accountable. Now, this is Tumabilang Bantuas JR, your narrator.